Here we are again. Thank you for showing up. This is gonna be a series, I guess, because I try to do talking about Homecoming and what the difference is between all the movies and the Spider-Man movies and all that stuff. And in the first video, I literally just covered Homecoming and kind of compared stuff to the other movies. Because if you noticed, I to put on those videos, the guy. What it sucks. The Escape podcast, I might as well be on their show. I use so many of their clips to bounce off ideas and criticize what they say or agree with what they say. But yeah, so we had the first one. It was about Soups calling Homecoming 3 dog shit, and they basically I should have saved the other video for another video because I think we're going to do 4 of these. And if people don't watch them, that's going to suck, but it's also fun for me to write these out, and I don't got much to do when you're on disability, and that's more than you need to know. Mental health is a thing, and these are good, these are fun, but I was like, damn, the first one, I did not expect how deep I got into it, how much I had to break down things, and hopefully people saw a little bit of a coolness in what I was delivering there. And it was a little snarky at times, but it's always still like, I pretty much like all the Spider-Man movies, but I'm pulling out these super biased, and this is gonna be a tough one. This is gonna be one where people are gonna, if people watch this, people are gonna be mad because I don't bullshit. Another one I was talking about how being older, I was raised through all this. I know the hype, and I ended the last video talking about how nostalgia really blinded people with the Raimi movies, and I give a whole spiel at the end, and that's when I realized, holy shit, I'm like at an hour, and all I did was go through Homecoming, explain what made sense, why people didn't understand it, and people that liked it, great, but people that didn't, they can still not like it, but let me point things out to you if you're missing what's going on here. And what the things that they were mad about that they didn't see, it's kind of, there's reasons for that. I feel like I'm live all the time. I love doing it like I'm live. I'm sure about my day right now. So we're moving on to the Raimi films. It was a different time. I think I mentioned in the last video that, well, first of all, I'm today, you'll know what day it is because I'm dropping finally I'm gonna just drop the why Guardians of the Galaxy 2 is not the worst MCU ever. These guys, it came up on my reel again, and I just got pissed again, and I was like, have I put that video up? And I didn't. So today I'm dropping that video. After I do this one, I'm just gonna upload that one. Anyways, back to these guys. So they're gonna talk about a little bit about Amazing Spider-Man 2. I'm gonna get into that. Hopefully I could cover much of Sam Raimi and Amazing Spider-Man much as I can. But I think I could get it all in one video, and then I think after that I have a couple ideas of how I'm gonna do it. I think I could do Raimi and Spider-Man and Garfield, Tobey and Garfield in this one, and then the next one I'll cover the rest of Holland's, and not the last one though, not Far From Home. Far From Home I'll conclude it with other things, but yeah. So on this one right here, we're gonna do Raimi and Garfield, and I always go hat guy, non-hat guy. I need to learn their names. Non-hat guy is obsessed with Amazing Spider-Man 2. So much that I made a video already talking about really deep into it, but we're going to go through a lot of the old stuff. So let's give a little teaser of thoughts, and just so we have a little bit to bounce off of. And thank you if you're still here, because I know this opening intro probably bored anybody that's still here, but it's going to be interesting, I promise.
The Amazing Spider-Man 2, what do you think?
Listen. Hear me out. Just hear me out.
I'm listening.
I always say this. I think you might have said this too before. I don't know. It's got some of the best Spider-Man moments ever put to a silver screen.
Yep.
But also some of the worst moments ever put to the silver screen.
Honestly, just off the bat, I'm not going to get into Garfield that quick, but I would like to know what people think are the best scenes in number 2. I'll come back to this, like some things I think maybe, but it's weird that it's a half and half. There's like really bad stuff he says, and really good stuff he says.
For a Spider-Man movie. So it's kind of mid, is what I would say TASM 2 is.
You think it balances out to be mid?
I think it balances out to be mid. I think there's people that are way too harsh on it. It's definitely not the worst Spider-Man movie. Like, I think that's crazy. And then you think it's the worst, don't you?
It's down there.
You might need to be euthanized.
What do you think is worse?
Are you kidding me?
Give it to me.
Worse than TASM 2?
Yeah, don't say Spider-Man Lotus. That doesn't count.
Spider-Man 3.
What do I have lower
Oh,
than
you
TASM 2?
like all the Raimi movies, right?
I love the Raimi movies.
Yeah, I put
Raimi
Spider-Man
did
3
that
below
too.
it. I put Far From Home below it. I put Homecoming below it.
Say that again.
I
Spider-Man
put-
3 is crazy, by the way. Spider-Man 3 is great.
No, it's not.
It's incredible.
If you're talking about
Everyone's
having high highs and lows,
allowed
Spider-Man
their own
3
opinions.
does,
We're
and I
gonna
think the
get
lows
into
are
this.
worse
Everyone's allowed
than
their
TASM 2.
opinions.
But I have TASM
agree.
beneath TASM 2. I have Far From Home beneath it, and I have Homecoming
You
beneath
know what's crazy? Is I actually think it's my last rated live-action Spider-Man movie.
Is the Amazing
So
Spider-Man
I might have actually just contradicted. I think
Okay,
I like
exactly.
TASM 1. I don't know. They could flip-flop. TASM 1 or TASM 2 could be the worst in my opinion.
So, anyways, that's pretty much them covering it. No Hat Guy thinks TASM 2 is great. I am blown away that he thinks it's better than Homecoming and Far From Home. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe if it's a nostalgia thing. Maybe he was like a teenager during that time or something. I was a grown-ass man at that time, so it was a little different for me. Yeah, I was older at that time. Like Spider-Man, I was like teenager or something. And I told you this deals a lot with having opinions about movies. Is where were you at? And I explained that in the end of the other video. The nostalgia, when an event happens, everyone sees it different ways, and we all reflect on it different ways. And some of us have it etched in our minds a certain way, and some of us could get rid of it and not worry about it anymore. And then some of us just hang on to it and enjoy that feeling. But with how I look at things, movies, comics, and stuff, I know things change, and sometimes change is okay. And I know in time things don't age as well, and that's why we're moving on to the Sam Raimi films. So they're not perfect, all right? They're not perfect movies. We'll start off with one and we'll go from there. It was a big thing, huge. And again, I think I said this in the other video. The fact that we had just a Spider-Man movie, it was bonkers. And I mentioned too, James Cameron was gonna do the one with Leo DiCaprio. Believe they were in talks until, I think they dropped it, and then Sony ended up taking it or something like that, because it was gonna be under, I think, Universal or Columbia. I can't remember, but yeah. So Spider-Man's always been on the radar, and for much as what people had, they had just basically the old 70s show, of course the cartoons, not the anime series yet, or the anime series did come out, and the Japanese one, and I think that's much covers for like live. I mean, the biggest claim to fame for a lot of people, Spider-Man was in Thanksgiving Day Parade. That's been always the coolest thing for me as a comic fan, like being a little kid. Like, that was just awesome. But Spider-Man didn't have much media attention besides, like, the cartoons, and before that, the 70s cartoon, and then the 80s Spider-Man and Amazing Friends, and other things like that. But with the movie coming out, huge deal. First time we're going to see it actually live action to the movie Spider-Man. I bought the soundtrack. I loved it. I played Macy Gray's song, Lately. It was an experience. It truly was an awesome time. I remember I live in downtown Sacramento, California. They did a whole like ceremony thing for it where they had costumes on display where you could go to it. It was really like crappy though, because it was supposed to be like this big event, and they just had a few costumes, and like it was basically to pump up this store that sold movie stuff, like stuffed animals and movie pictures and I don't know, stuff like that. But yeah, it was a crazy time. And first of all, just make it very clear, Spider-Man 1 is not a horrible movie. It's not a bad movie. I don't think it's great. It's a little below great. It's just so groundbreaking. That's the hardest part. It's hard to turn on things that are like groundbreaking and say like, oh, this isn't better than this. But sometimes when you lay things all down on the paper and you start breaking it down, like I said last time, I'm gonna keep saying that probably, you gotta dissect things. If you're really into stuff, you could just like it, and that's fine. But when you start shitting on things and you're saying this is better than this, and I don't care what these people say and this and that, someone's got to step up and go, look, hear me out. And that's what I've been doing. And I just grew up a way where reading comics and watching movies, it just, you felt them, and it made me want to do what I wanted to do with my life, and it was passion. And so something like Spider-Man coming out was great, but over time you just keep dissecting it, and when things come out to compare to it, you keep dissecting it. People would say just let it be, but if you're I'm not saying I'm special, basically, but there are people that think like that, where they just keep almost comparing to seeing like, what have we done different? What do we improve? What changed? God, this wasn't holding up now, or something like that. And it's okay to have change in opinions. It's fine. You're not backstabbing Spider-Man. It's just the way it is. The thing is, people make it like Spider-Man Trilogy from Raimi is flawless. Even when people go, it's the best ever, and people throw up number 3, they're like, even with number 3, and I'm just blown away, because I have problems with the other ones, and number 3 is just a hot mess. We're just okay. We're revisiting it right now, and we're gonna tear it down, but to see if the nostalgia plays a big part in it. I have a lot of my notes that I've been working on. I've been working really hard on this. Again, probably people aren't gonna watch it. It's fine. I enjoy this. I love doing this. Gives me something to do. Gives me something to work at when I'm not doing other dumb things. So this came out in 2002. Did I graduate that year? Yeah, I did. God, I'm old. I graduated that year, so it was a big year. A lot of things going on, and it was impactful. It was huge. I don't think people really understand it. Like my son doesn't get it really, because he's like 14, because he was like Bane. He was born into it. It's all around him, you know. So it's not like this special crazy thing. Back then, we wish something like that would happen. Wizard Magazine would do their fan casting, and that would be the closest we get to getting excited that we could get a movie somehow or something like this. So it was crazy. It was a big deal, huge deal. A lot of I feel like stakes were high for it to do well, and see how fans were going to react to a real serious movie. But at the same time, I think they kind of knew they had it once they filmed it. And honestly, Raimi's not a guy I would have picked. Like, I love fucking directors. That always sounds bad when I say things like that. Not sexually. I love directors, and Raimi's great, but I think I would never put Spider-Man on it, but he did a really good job. It's ridiculous how well he did compared to what you would think on paper, like what he would do. So off the bat, they nailed the emotion of Peter Parker to a T. I mean, and I said before, again, I don't want to go back to the other movie or video a lot, but I said it's Stanley's blueprint. 100%. If Stanley was sitting next to the director telling him what to do, this is exactly what the comic was like in the original one. Besides, of course, we're going to get little changes here and there, but as far as like the groundwork, the blueprint of how to make this movie, we were going to do exactly what the first Amazing Fantasy appearance 15 appearance of Spider-Man is. That's what we're going to really capitalize here. We're going to show what's about, the heart, the responsibility, and what makes Spider-Man so great. And they totally captured it. The only thing is with that, again, I've talked before, I like things modernized, and at the time I don't think they're worried about being modern, because some things change with time. There's movies you'll see that they have to use a car phone that's in the car, and automatically it dates the movie. It might not ruin the movie for you, but then you kind of go, oh, it takes you out for a second because you start thinking about that. So a lot of times it's nice to watch movies that avoid that. A lot of smart movies try to avoid things like that, or make them not have access to cell phones for a reason, or the towers are down. So when you're watching it, you don't think about, well, why don't they use their phone or whatever? Because back in the older movies, you could just go like, they don't got a cell phone, so they have to use these phones. And so there's ways to get around storytelling, but then you watch it and go, oh, nowadays they've been like this. So with that being said, with the times, and we were in an odd space in 2000s. We were in a, probably people have said that's the biggest jump from like going to like 89 to 90, 99 to 2000, you know, 79 to 89 or 80. They said 2000s is probably the biggest jump, because a lot of them went from like 8 tracks to cassettes to, you know, CDs, and CDs, like the next jump was like digital, and that's a big jump. It's not even like physical anymore. It was downloading and digital. It just, the 2000s just made everything crazy. Phones were different through the way, and then by the 2000s, people didn't even have house phones, and there were cell phones now, and I think I had like a Nokia. It was like a brick back then, but we were able to have phones. I paid by the minute or whatever. It was a huge jump. Like, people say that's the biggest transition is around that time, the 2000s. It was just hugely different. Like, a few years before that, no one had a phone in their pocket. After that, it changed forever. Everyone had a phone in their pocket. So it was a different time, and it was a time for risk taking, and it's a time for just super change, and this was a big change. So I think they did play it safe, but I also think that they just getting Spider-Man out there and who they all casted. Casting at glance, I would have been really happy with William Dafoe. Everyone else, I would not be happy with, to be honest with you. Still not happy about some of them, but it is what it is. But William Dafoe, I really would have been. And you figure at that time I've watched a good amount of movies, but you know, to really appreciate people's acting, like, yeah, Toby's gotten better for me. I should have put more water in there. You know, it started everything, so it was big and all that, but there were problems with me. So with Peter Parker, they did the very typical nerd, the very bad nerd that gets a wedgie, gets his glass broken, gets pushed around. It's typical. It's something, again, not modernized really. It's something that we saw in the 70s that they could play it again in the Spider-Man movie and make it work. And it worked for that movie because we were basically doing the first Spider-Man movie, and we're going to follow this very simple template. And now looking back at it, it kind of just seems corny. The first Spider-Man to me is very cornball. And I feel bad because people are like, you're crazy. That movie is so good. It's this and that. I'm sorry, guys. It's corny. Imagine just showing that to a person that's never seen a superhero movie and let them get invested in the story. They'd probably think so many things are stupid in it. And that sucks because that movie's good. It's a good movie. But at glance, to a non-superhero fan, nowadays, they would be different. Back then, it's different. It was a different time. Like I said, it was changed. Now, it just wouldn't come out and be, we would think it's almost parodied how they act in it sometimes. We got the jocks being the jocks, and we got the cool guy being the cool guy, and the hot girl saying the hot girl things, and it just was all very cliche, and again, very cookie cutter. Much as it's a risk, it was playing it super safe, but at the same time, I get it, because it's the first Spider-Man. We don't want to mess things around. We don't want to mess up. He's exaggerated as an outsider in this, very much so. Again, a lot to the comic, the original comic. Very cast out, very unbelievable nerdy. Like, nerds, like, even that time, nerds still had nerd friends, you know what I mean? And this, he was lucky, he had the cool, you know, Harry Osborn was his friend, only friend that stuck up for him, and this and that. And I'm pretty sure that didn't really come into the comics till later, but they kind of made that a little their edginess. We have to remember this is around the 2000s. And Peter Parker should feel awkward, I agree, and isolated. But I feel like they leaned way too heavy in the stereotype, like way too heavy in the stereotype. And it overshadowed it overshadowed the telling of his true personality. They poured too much in the cup, basically, with Raimi's first movie. It was too much. Again, we're talking about now, not watching it then, watching it now. I get what they're trying to do and what they're trying to create. Again, we're trying to do our first Spider-Man movie, but it just ruined the character a lot. It made him not seem like Peter Parker. It really just didn't. And there's like so much important aspects of it too that they lacked of, like, almost like common sense on things that he did. And also, again, he's supposed to be a teenager, so I get that. But I'm not trying to say, oh, don't act like a teen. But also, like, his intelligence. They made him do things that people wouldn't do at that age or whatever. But at the same time, I think Toby was like fucking, he could have been 30. I don't know. He wasn't 30, but he was older, dude. I did not like Peter Parker being in high school and not looking like he's in high school. I just can't. I can't. I grew up with all these Dawson's Creek and stuff when I was in middle school and stuff. It's just stupid. You know, younger than that, you guys probably won't even remember now 210. these damn adults are like teenagers. It was always just stupid, and because they didn't want to trust young actors to portray people in dramatic things, and maybe it was a safer because they could do more because they're adults and over 18. But having not a younger person play Spider-Man was already their first mistake. Does that take away from the movie? No. Does that take away from Tobey Maguire? No. Again, looking at it now, that would be a problem. It doesn't feel like Spider-Man. If you saw Tobey Maguire standing there doing his tryout right now for the MCU universe, I don't think you would see Spider-Man at that age. Even you would look at him and be like, this is Tobey Maguire, just white dude, whatever. You wouldn't see that's Peter Parker right there. Look at his face features. Look at that. It kind of makes me think of Peter Parker. You wouldn't do that. I don't care what you tell me. You wouldn't think when you see him Peter Parker. There's no way in hell. If you never saw him as Spider-Man, it's hard to separate that. Again, it's ingrained in your head. It's hard to separate it. But imagine you never saw Tobey Maguire and they're going to cast Spider-Man today, and he was reading as that character, and he's like, can I get a picture for the newspaper or wherever the hell it is? And does his lines and stuff, and I'd be like, all right, nothing special. Like, this doesn't stand out for me. But again, different time. He just being older and trying to fall into the role of being younger is a lot harder, I think, for you to remember, because as an actor, they want to some go super method, but some want to get into that role. They try even harder, and I felt like they leaned so hard in him trying to be this gullible, nerdy kid, and it just was awful. The more I watched it, and then that leads to, we get the story going, right? And one of the big factors for me was Green Goblin. I think everybody was excited to have Green Goblin. Was everyone excited about the costume? No. And I said before, you could Google it. They had animatronics where they had a different Green Goblin suit. It would have killed. It would have held out till now. It would have still worked. If that video was from back then, I don't know if it's a rumor or whatever, wherever that video came from. If that was from back then, they fucked up. They should have never not done that. Green Goblin suit off the bat is horrible. It's god awful. They always called it the Power Ranger suit. That was when it came out. People called that. It's hard. It's very, very hard to do Green Goblin I would say in a realistic superhero movie. But again, this wasn't Batman Begins. This wasn't Dark Knight. This wasn't like grounded. There was still out of the ordinary corniness like in the movie. So I don't know why they didn't. If they leaned already into the corniness of the character of Peter and Spider-Man, why don't you lean into the villain like that? And instead they made it like an armor gear type thing, and it's 2000s, so you have to remember things were like edgy, shiny. Goes a lot to number 3 I'll get to, like extreme, but it doesn't fit. Again, if you're watching it now and you had to see Green Goblin on screen, you'd be like, this is the fucking stupidest thing I've ever saw. This is not Green Goblin. Now, Norman Osborn was great. I think it's Willem Dafoe's just a phenomenal actor. I just hate that Willem Dafoe's got such a good face. Like, even like I always say, people want him to be the Joker. I think he has a great Green Goblin face. I wish they did something, and I remember like thinking the rumors where they're gonna copy Ultimate Spider-Man, but I can't remember if that was out yet before. I don't remember, and I don't want to look up things and all that right now, but I just remember like thinking, how are they gonna make him look like a goblin? And even in the comics, there's like an issue, it's an old issue where he's like at the police station and he's like talking to them, and they're all laughing at him because he's just a green dude in tights and a green mask, and it's always just a rubber mask, but somehow fits perfectly, and everything doesn't look goofy because it's a comic. They draw it on them that way, and that's how it looks. And how do you make that work? How do you make that transfer over to a movie that we're supposed to make a global hit, which it was not a dud, it was huge, but now if we were in the writer's room and stuff, again, things change with time, so you can't be like, well, that was a different time. Yes, I know, that's my whole point. The Green Goblin thing, I'd be like, dude, I don't know how to do this. Like, how are we gonna make this guy cool and fearsome but work for kids, work for the old, I don't know what their audience was for. Just everybody. I don't think they're worried about even pleasing comic book fans, because that's like a lot of times they would think about that a lot, but I think they knew comic fans weren't the numbers back then. There weren't. Now it's superhero movie fans is what they look for, blockbusters. But back then, I don't think Spider-Man was known by everybody. So I think they wanted it to be families. Like, families come and see this movie. So when they think of this, it can't make him too creepy. We can't make him like this. And maybe if the animatronic was real, he looked creepy. And it looked good, though. How can we do this? And I've seen people do AI versions of him in that movie. And he kind of has a weird, like, rubbery latex. You don't really see Defoe in it, but it's interesting. I don't know how much. I kept thinking, this is really corny looking. This is really corny looking. Then I think about the armor suit, and I'm like, I don't know which one would be worse to look at. The armor suit made sense because they made it like they're like almost like a super soldier type program or whatever. They were doing something. So it made sense how they could write it into the story. So I appreciate that, understand that. Again, I always say, making small changes is fine. Like, if it doesn't ruin the character or anything, that's fine. So Green Goblin not wearing tights and all this stuff, and it coming from Oscorp and being a suit, a battle suit with a helmet or whatever, that's fine. That's a fine way to go. Like, that's smart thinking to make it fit into the story. Nowadays, if you change things like that, people sometimes get mad, and I'm like, who cares? Superman, like, doesn't have red underwear, kind of sucks, but if they think it works, whatever. But once it comes back, they're like, yeah, that looks good. I feel right. So it's just little things like that, but that's a bigger shift because it had to incorporate with the storyline and with Oscorp and all that. But again, I think they could have been gone different routes. It'd be a hard one. And the biggest thing I had an issue with, you don't start with Green Goblin. And I think movies learn this in the future, that you don't give us the big baddie and off the beginning. You don't. It's just too much. I even think Fantastic Four screwed it up. Of course, they didn't give us Doom, but they gave us Galactus. And when you put the whole world, I don't know how they did it. I don't. It still kind of confuses me. The Mole Man put everyone under the ground, but they protected the whole world from getting eaten by I was gonna call him Thanos, Galactus, and it's such a huge threat. It's like the next movie, you couldn't even have Red Ghost in it, even though he was cut out. Red Ghost isn't a threat when you just saved the whole planet from getting sucked up by this giant dude and with the Herald, and it's just the stakes are too high, or the villain's too complicated already, and that you want to go bigger, and every time bigger because it's following up, and then once you go lower, people don't like it as much. So that was the flaws of the Spider-Man movies. They were trying to go bigger and bigger, but with Green Goblin, he should have not showed up. He should have been built as Osborn through all the movies, and probably the final movie been him, or at least midway second movie, something like that. Sorry, I was reading my notes. Introducing him immediately means one of Peter's biggest emotional rivalries is resolved in the very first film. Starting with a smaller villain could have been allowed Norman and Harry's relationship with Peter to develop more naturally. That's what I put down. So that's what I kind of felt is it could have been done that way, because I think when we do this, I think everyone was learning from this, because I think even in the Chasm movies, they were like, we're not going to do Green Goblin right away. We're not going to give the biggest villain. We're just gonna fuck him up in the second one. We're not gonna do the biggest villain off the bat, and you kind of want to go low grounded now and start low, because you could go higher and higher, but it depends on the character and what you could do with them. I don't know. I think nowadays they're really smart with how they do things, and sometimes the villains just crash. But with Green Goblin, it's just such a big story. They kind of went wrong about it, and I know they related a lot to the anime series, so that's why they probably went with Mary Jane first. Bringing Gwen Stacy in the third one, which I'll talk about later, is just stupid. Gwen Stacy should have started it. Again, I think they're worried about people being familiar with it, families to come see it, and they had kids that watched the cartoon, and they're going to connect it with Mary Jane. I don't think it would have been that much of a difference. I actually think it would save the movie more, because Mary Jane was god awful in the movie, and if anyone tells me that Kirsten Dunst was amazing in that movie, I want to hear your argument for that really, really bad. God, she was just so bad. She's like the villain of all the movies. She's cringe. Oh my God, is she cringe? She is so bad in all the movies. Like, I can't get through her face expressions, and her acting is so bad. I don't know, find me something where Kristen Dunst is good, and maybe it will be Interview with the Vampire, and it stops there at her age. Like, she's just not good. And she was a horrible pick for Mary Jane. Like, I remember the casting, and I remember, like, looking at, like, when Venom first came out, and he's like, "Honey, I'm home," and like she's like crying in the corner, and she looks like this, I don't know, like model, crazy wavy hair, and like I think they tried to do that with Kirsten Dunst, make her look like that. It just looked like they're piling on something that wasn't her, and it just looked dumb. And then the acting did not help at all. So that was whatever. And we get the movie going, and we get Harry in the story, and Harry doesn't really feel like his best friend. Like, again, we're gonna go a lot to MCU, a lot. Ned feels like a good friend, a best friend, a dude that's been through and through with him. Not just because they have a cool handshake, it's just interaction. When you see people have chemistry, how they act, how they talk, one of the biggest people that have chemistry, and I think I did a video on it before, is Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen. The way they talk, you feel like they've been rivals for years. And probably because working together for years, it helps. But from the first one, they had chemistry. There was no beats missed between those conversations. We got it, we felt it, we understood it because they had chemistry. There was something that we believed that these guys had a past before even knowing them. When they talked, we felt that these guys knew each other, they had past with each other, and it's cool because we got to go so much further. No matter what, if you don't like this X-Men, that X-Men, whenever those two were together, they had good scenes. They had really good scenes when they were together. I much as there's a lot of problems I feel like in the X-Men movies, I can tell you that those two never struck out like ever together in a scene. But Harry, just, oh my god, James Franco, first of all, he's a horrible actor. He's not a good actor at all. I don't get why he was cast. I would like to see the sheet of who are all the options. Because at that time, I think he basically just did Freaks and Geeks. I don't know what else they would have gone off of. But of course, he had a tryout like everybody else. I'm sure he didn't like get it, like just gave to him. But it was just bad delivery, bad timing, and bad character for him. It just did not work. It was awful. And again, if you think it's great, give me the arguments why it's so good. Because I'm telling you right now, a lot of it was the acting, a lot of it was the presence, and the lack of chemistry. I did not feel like these dudes were friends. They weren't like two different like sides of the field kind of guys. Because I get it, one's supposed to be super cool, one's super nerdy. What they did with Bucky and Steve helped a lot in, what's that, the first Avenger? That kind of felt it a little bit with being on two opposite sides, because I think it might have helped with the CGI skinny Cap, but having this other cool guy next to him or whatever, that guy had all the girls and stuff, just for those few moments, you kind of get the vibe, oh, these are two polar opposites, like type of people, like super corny nerd, super cool guy. And this one, they were trying to, but at the same time, they were trying to make him relatable, and it didn't work. I think if anything, through time, the dialogue with all of them just didn't age in time. In dialogue through a lot of the movie, the way it was written, it's really corny the more you read it. And again, people are gonna come at me at this video. People watch it, they're gonna come at me, and that's fine. That's the whole point of it, is to talk about it. Just go through the script and read the script. Read the lines and tell me you don't feel like kind of awkward reading it. It's kind of like reading Anakin's lines in like Revenge of the Sith or Attack of the Clones. People love those movies, I get it. But read the lines and you're like, who wrote this? Like, why would they write it like this? Why would someone talk like this? Like, it doesn't feel natural. It doesn't feel like a natural conversation. That's why people I liked in movies the most, probably director-wise, I liked, I said Quentin Tarantino, Kevin Smith, Robert Rodriguez, because they had a lot of dialogue, but their dialogue with the characters they had and the actors that did it, it sounded like we were watching people just have a conversation. And it'd be so unique. Like, I was watching Reservoir Dogs the other day, and just them sitting at the table all talking about, I think, Madonna, and then they get into tipping. It's just such a dumb thing to talk about in a movie. It doesn't even need to be there. It's not part of the plot, but it makes it so real in that moment. And you feel like you're watching a group of people talking, and just you're there. You're eavesdropping almost. And with this movie, the lines are written so staged, and we're making a movie. It just did not feel right. And again, you're gonna be like, what parts are they talk like that? Just look up some parts, even your favorite parts, and just realize how some of the lines are delivered. There are some good stuff. There's a lot of emotion there. Like, the movie's like a good movie, but like I said, there are flaws. Everyone makes like these are perfect, and I don't want to spend too much time on the first one. Having Harry into Mary Jane was really stupid. a dumb way to start that already. They shouldn't have done that. I should think they should have worked on more of having a friendship with Harry, focused on that more than having, like, imagine if they did Ned, even though I get it, Ned's Ned, but imagine if they did that with Ned just to make the story a little more interesting. It's stupid. It takes a sidetrack. It's a dumb side plot. The others, we had a side plot already that he liked Mary Jane. We didn't need a side plot he liked Mary Jane and then Harry's gonna date her and he's his best friend. It was just stupid. They shouldn't have focused on it. And it just pulled away the tension from the main story. And far as the main story, the origin was focused on so much in this movie that it gets boring. I'm sorry. Watching it now, I could sit there and watch it because it's a popcorn movie. It's my nostalgia. But coming from where you'd write superhero movies or where you would do it now, you would not sit on the origin that long. And if you do, you got to make it unique. And that's why I give Batman Begins a little bit of out, because their origin was way different. This was Batman year 1, supposedly. It felt like it was year freaking 20 because all the stuff he had. It was kind of not fair because Patterson's seems like year 2 how he is. But this is, first time we see him. But at least in that one, we see him traveling to get his training, and it builds character with the Raws, and all these different things happen in between that. This is just, yes, I got Spider-Man powers, and we're gonna go explore them. We're happy, we're fun. Okay, we get it. It's cool. Now watching it, you're taking so much time on this, and he gets a while of him just the origin still going. Even when the death happens, Uncle Ben, okay, then it goes a little further, and it goes a little further, and it's just we haven't jumped into Spider-Man action yet. We're not in a Spider-Man movie yet. It's still Peter Parker. I don't want to say learning to be Spider-Man, but it's like halfway there. And people are like, well, isn't that what you want? And that's why you like Homecoming, is because he's already Spider-Man. Too, in a sense, but at the same time, like Fantastic Four did the same thing, and they just showed clips of their origin. You know what I mean? So it depends on how you want to do it. I'm trying to think of what other movies that like Shang-Chi, let's say something like that. They didn't really need to show him growing up. They did flashbacks a little bit of it. I'm trying to think who has like a bigger, like 89 Batman, it was a flashback for that, and we didn't see him learning to become Batman. We didn't have to watch him through his falls and whatever. In Batman Begins, we see him falling with his dad, and he says, we get back up, blah blah blah, and all these different things. So we see little lessons they learned along the way. This is a huge lesson we're supposed to learn through almost the whole fucking movie. And telling that story now, I would just be like, oh my god, guys, we get it. Let's get to the movie. And it just was Green Goblin is Green Goblin. And it sucked because he's very corny. He's like leaning against Peter or Spider-Man, and he's like hitting him on the head. And it was just really bad how they did it. It was, again, they kind of did it like a Batman Forever, a Batman and Robin. It's not as bad as those. But again, if you like those, nostalgia, I get it. But they made it very not serious for us, taking it serious the fact that we're getting a live action Spider-Man. It was very light-hearted in a way, how we presented a lot of the character aspects. And for us taking these characters serious for once, first time we see Spider-Man and all that, it was kind of just goofy at times. And again, I know it's amazing. It's Spider-Man. It's Raimi. Yes, but we're talking about it right now and what we're comparing everything else to. And if we had to make it right now, there's just a lot of things that didn't age well. And of course, we're grateful for it. We're grateful for all that it did. But Goblin's lines are really bad. It's right out of the comic, which people, comic book fans probably loved a lot. I felt like it was okay at the time. I didn't really blink at it. Like, I'll return Spider-Man and stuff like that. Cool. There wasn't a lot of like throwbacks to like Spider-Man swinging cool or anything like that. It looked great. We were so excited to see this, but nothing like blowing our mind that we connected it with a comic or something. But it did good. It was so cool. It was cool. We finally got to see Spider-Man swing through the city. It was a breathtaking moment for us. It was awesome. But looking at it now, you're like, man, they could have done so much more, and they could have, had him like in a web. There's so many comics were out at that time with different poses, and they didn't do a lot with it. And then just ultimately, I just feel like it felt really flat, and the Thanksgiving scene was really awkward. him hiding on the ceiling. Again, I get what they're going for. I get the direction, but it just all was. It seemed like boring. It wasn't necessary. Again, we're telling a story. I get it. I'm not stupid. We're telling a story there, but it just, we could have put other things in between that, or changed the scenery. Having it be Thanksgiving and Harry's trying to impress Mary Jane at Aunt May's house. I guess they all eat at Aunt May's, and Norman Osborn's gonna show up. These are like little things that you shouldn't pick at, but you start thinking that's kind of weird. And then he sees the cut, and it's like, oh wait, he's probably Spider-Man, and it's just all goofy. And then Norman rages out and leaves, and Harry has horrible dialogue in the hallway, yelling about I like her, and Norman's like, she just a hoe from the streets. He just is like, dude, I don't care about her. And again, that's not making it a bad movie. It's just not great dialogue. But and then yeah, we go further, and it gets to the point where like, it's Spider-Man come out and play. That's a good take. That was pretty cool. I don't know how he got the phone number. I can't remember how he got the phone number to the payphone, or did he call and someone else answered? Something like that happened, because I think he called Mary Jane. That was good. That's good Green Goblin shit right there. Him getting to Aunt May was good. That was cool. Doing the fan ass shit, like trying to tell her to finish the prayer. That's good. That's good shit right there. That's some stuff where you're like, yeah, this is some peak cinema, where this is a fucking crazy villain. So I mean, all that leading up to the big thing, they try to copy the Gwen Stacy thing. The whole rallying with, we're New Yorkers. If you gotta go through him, you gotta go through us. And it's like, I get it. Again, at the time, kind of made sense. Now, if we have someone yell that in one of our movies nowadays, we'd probably think it's stupid. Like, if you want to get to him, you gotta get through me. And it's a very, of course, trope that happens in a lot of movies. It's not like, oh, they're only ones that did it. No, everybody does it. It's just, in a superhero movie, it's just kind of now, like, if you heard that in, I don't know, an new X-Men movie, and someone says, if you want to get through those mutants, you gotta go through us. And it just sounds fake. It doesn't sound like a real person talking. So anyways, we get the whole ending, and it is what it is. They fight, not much of a battle. Big thing with all the Spider-Man movies, I feel like they never really utilized how Spider-Man fights. His swinging, his jumping, his punching, his jumping around you. Like, a lot of things that even the cartoons captured a lot more. Maybe because it's more fluid. But, we get the ending, and it's whatever. Like, we know he's gonna say Mary Jane, of course. It's a superhero movie. Things like that aren't gonna happen, but they try to kind of create the the Gwen Stacy thing, and he's like da, 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 or da, 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 and he's like holding. It's just it's like Riddler with the two, pick Robin or the lady you love, and it's just, if we weren't trying to take it serious, I'd be like, cool, like I could hang with this. But now that you look at it, it's like they were being serious. They were being serious about Spider-Man, and that's how Green Goblin was acting. And again, there's times where Green Goblin's fucking sick. Like, they did a really good job with his talking and dialogue. But then there's times where he's just, hey there, Spider-Man, and it's like, all right, are we getting back into like the campy, like 66 Batman? Like, come on, like, what are we doing here? So I think they just didn't really know how to really develop Green Goblin, making him either really scary and creepy, because I mean, Norman's creepy in scenes, and I think that's really good with Norman. To me, the shining star is Dafoe. Dafoe is fucking just money. He's so fucking good at Green Goblin. And it's just, I don't think they really knew how to do Green Goblin, and it was part of what hurt it. And then the death comes, and good Godspeed, Spider-Man, and it's okay. We did the impaling and something like, I can't remember if that's the first thing. That's how they kill him in the first comic. He's died so many times, but it worked. It made sense. It's kind of dumb that you're gonna have, like, I don't know, like, I guess weapons on it, but then not worry if someone else controls it, or I don't know. But whatever, I'll let it go. It's fine. But yeah, he dies. Don't tell Peter, or don't tell Harry. And weird, but then the endings, just whatever. It's whatever. And oh, I like Mary Jane kissed me, and they had that kissing scene, and really awkward, the whole she's my neighbor trope, and her dad's yelling at her outside, and like, it's just, I don't know, Mary Jane ruined a lot for me. But yeah, so Spider-Man 1 was fine. It's okay. It's an okay movie. Now looking at it, growing up, it changed for me. Before, it was awesome. It was amazing. But getting older and seeing how you could do things differently and how more we take characters seriously, you definitely could do it. And I hated the costume. I hated the costume. I could not stand, and there's a lot of costumes I hate in Spider-Man world, but I hated the costume to death. Like, the silver lining just bugged me so fucking bad. I could not stand it. Again, I was happy. I didn't give a fuck. I bought all the action figures. I was a grown-ass teen buying all the action figures, putting them up on my shelf. You couldn't tell me anything. I had Mary Jane in her Japanese outfit from when she gets knocked off the balcony and you get the balcony part that breaks and falls down. And I was like fucking 17 or something. I don't know. But I was in it. I was in it altogether. But now, looking back, it's just a lot was there. And then we go to number 2. This one's rough because everybody loves number 2. They put number 2 above a lot of things. And I think, to be honest with you, it's one of the most overrated superhero movies. And again, if people are watching this, they're going, fuck no, as soon as I say that, or they're throwing their hands up, or well, I want to turn this off. This guy, I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. I'm sorry. I think Spider-Man 2 is very overrated. It's a great movie. But can great movies be overrated? Yes. We can beat it to the ground. Like, Dark Knight's getting to that point almost. Dark Knight is amazing, but we're getting to the point now where people are trying to compare it to, like, classic movies that, you know, groundbreaking and, like, change the world, and now people are like, Dark Knight's one of those. And it's like, Dark Knight's fucking amazing, but hold on, dude. Like, we're talking about, you know, this movie or whatever. And I think that's what happened with, or what happened to Spider-Man 2, or what's happening. Because for me, I see it, maybe other people don't. What they got right is they made you recognize Spider-Man is one of the biggest superheroes ever. Like, they made it huge. They made it a big deal. They got to come back, and it was good. The focus on him was good. It was a good take. Again, one big problem I have with these is lack of continuity. There is continuity. There is connection, but it's not like character development. So Spider-Man learned responsibility in the first one. This one, we gotta see what's he gonna learn. What does he learn? He gets stressed and loses his power. You guys can defend it all you want. I think it's one of the stupidest fucking stories to put in a comic. I don't remember it happening in the comics. If it happened in something, in another superhero movie, and we're getting Brand New Day where the powers are messing up on, but they're at least covering the other where it's about him evolving from the spider. And that makes a little more sense than him like falling and can't climb and can't swing, and the organic web thing too. That was the thing. I think reading Ultimate Spider-Man at the time, people didn't mind it, but at the same time, it wasn't that big of a deal. But then with him having issues with stress, he couldn't use this web properly. He couldn't climb. He went to the doctors, and it's just there was nothing to learn from this Spider-Man. Maybe don't be responsible again, I guess. Know you have great power again and great responsibility, because, you know, and people get mad. Oh, people point out when he's beating up people and he just turns around and leaves. And yeah, I guess it's a little bit disappointing. They should have done probably different scenes differently to make it a little more where people can just point out the obvious that he looks like an asshole. But yeah, the raindrops falling on my head is the Frozen scene where they just freeze it frame. I don't get what Raimi was thinking, why we needed that. Shoving the hot dog and all that, and hearing the ambulances go by. I get it. He doesn't want to be Spider-Man no more. Cool, I get it. But it was just a bad way to demonstrate him not wanting to be Spider-Man. I think, do we get it in one of those? I think we did, where he throws away the suit. Those are like the moments that are like passionate and like, you know, heartbreaking and emotions going on. This guy is going away from everything he was taught. Uncle Ben taught him this. It connected with him. He saved people. He saved the girl he loves. And now he's not going to be it. And he's like, raindrops keep falling on my head. And it's like, all right, I get it. He's ignoring it. But there was no feelings behind it. There was nothing for me to feel, man, this sucks that he doesn't want to be Spider-Man anymore. It was kind of like, okay, let's get to the point where he gets back to being Spider-Man. I wasn't sitting there waiting to see what's bothering him. What was the next story coming with this? It's just, there was nothing going on in the story but him being stressed. That was the thing. He was stressed. And then he's trying to juggle school, and they do get a good job with, you know, Spider-Man always had trouble doing school and doing Spider-Man stuff. And they cover that with Dr. Connors. and meeting Dr. Octopus, again, fucking home run. Now, home run with Osborn was great. Green Goblin, a little bit. There's scenes that were really good. Look, nah. Octopus, great. Alfred Molina, amazing actor. I would have never thought he could do that role the way he did it. The arms done well. CGI, a lot of these things, like, I've talked to people, like, you go there, like, you could say that, the CGI was really bad in this one. Like, even in the first X-Men, you could say that CGI is bad, or Wolverine Origins has horrible CGI. And you could also go, well, they probably had a smaller budget maybe, and it just wasn't up to par with what the normal one is. It's hard to argue when we had Jurassic Park. That's the hardest thing, because we had Jurassic Park like a decade before or so, and it looked real, and it's just crazy. But again, you can't, it's hard to hold people against like CGI and stuff. Now it's a little bit, you can't get away with CGI that much nowadays, because if it looks bad, it's like, dude, people could do this at home now. So with that all being said, the practical use of the arms, Doc Ock as a character, Alfred Molina's performance, all of it was very believable. All of it. Adding his wife part of the story was good, because it showed that he had more pain in him. It took a lot out of how bad Dr. Octopus was actually done a lot of times in comics. He was never that interesting. And a problem and not a problem, we sympathize with him. Norman, I think they tried to get us to, but you shouldn't have, But Doc Ock, he didn't really go all evil. But scenes were great with him. He always outdid it and everything. Everything he did was just pretty much anytime on screen, he did a good job. Corniness was there, though. There was corniness and dumb things thrown. It's kind of one thing that really bugged me always. Why, when they're at the bank, is the money bags full of gold coins? Like, do people just cash in gold coins and that's how they pay for things? I don't know. It's weird. And that's a dumb thing. Like, you're an asshole picking out that. I know, I am. But it was weird always to me, because like Doc Ock's throwing them and they're like coins flying everywhere. Like Sonic the Hedgehog's getting hit and the rings are going everywhere. But yeah, there is still corniness. His spider sense works interesting in it. I like how they show it, but there's certain moments where I'm like, why didn't he do it that time then? And it's kind of like, almost like when you're writing it, you don't think like, oh, we could have used that at this point, or you used that at this point, and you just kind of slips your mind, I guess. And I feel like that's what they kind of did sometimes, and that's fine. Things happen, but it's just hard when you're watching. You're like, oh man, he should have used it then, or whatever. But as far as that, they did okay with that. The whole tire rolling on his face, or about to hit him, and carry Mary Jane. And there's another problem. Mary Jane, she makes no sense. She makes no goddamn sense. I wrote, she spends large portions of the trilogy reacting to Peter's choices rather than driving her own story. Even though she has moments of emotional depth, she had moments where she could have been bringing us for the real thing, sister. And she didn't. And all it was playing off Peter and being pissy about Peter. And it just was horrible. It, not even just like a portrayal of Mary Jane, just as a character was horrible. And I don't get anyone that can back up Mary Jane in these movies. Like, she's god awful in these movies. Some ice fell. The character and the actress, I just don't get it. I don't get if anyone does, and I think a lot of people would agree with me on that. Alright, so Harry's revenge. His anger towards Spider-Man makes sense, but the development between the films sometimes happens more through explosion than through scenes showing the gradual descent. And that is true. So Harry begins to get this arc where he's starting to hate Spider-Man and this and that, but we only get glimpses, and he just keeps showing up madder, and he just seems like a guy that's just having a bad day and having a worse day, and they just didn't really build on. There's a lot of parts in the number 2 that they had a lot of emotional things that they could have built off of. Like I said, I like continuity, and this one did try to do the continuity, but it wasn't the flow of character arcs. And again, people might fucking argue with me, I'm sorry, Harry didn't grow into an arc. He just was Harry, and now he's just mad Harry that wants to kill Spider-Man. There was nothing roller coaster of his emotions, and we didn't see him break down and go back, and there was no character development. And same with Peter, he just got stressed in this one, and just getting stressed was a thing. It didn't change his development. He didn't learn from these things. The only thing I said he can learn is, I guess, responsibility again. That he had to go out there and fight. He drops his glasses and then his eyes work again, and he has to go out there and fight Doc. Train scene, great. I do have, I don't know if I released that video, where I do have other moments in superhero history that I think could at least live up to it. Great scene, not too much fighting, more Spidey catching people, but it's got good emotion with it. Him stopping the train, passing out, his brothers, the little kids his brothers play the little kids, handing him his mask, saying, "We won't tell anyone," or whatever. Good scene, great scene. They nailed it on the head with that. That's just a really good scene, using Doc Ock the way it is, even though it's like, you want to go to him, you gotta get through me. They do it again, but regardless, Doc Ock is used very well. And then you just get to the end, and he's got to reveal he's Spider-Man, and he's fighting Doc Ock, and this whole thing changes to, we are now sympathizing again with Doc Ock, and then I'm kind of okay with it until we get into future movies. But I'm kind of okay, but we're starting to feel like every person that's a villain, I mean, they're sometimes you care more about a villain if you sympathize with them and stuff, right? Sometimes. But sometimes a villain's just cool as a villain, Magneto, you kind of sympathize with. You get why, his driven, his story arc, his character development, what happened and what grows further. And then you got Joker, like Dark Knight. He's just a villain. There's no background. He's just an evil guy that needs to be stopped. He's almost creepy to the point that we don't know what's going on with him. And sometimes that's bad, not developing it. But with a character like the Joker, it actually worked, because him being just such a, we don't know where you came from, an enigma, it worked for that character. It was chaos. That was what the character was supposed to be. Again, I'm not trying to jump on and go Dark Knight needs to be this way, but I could also just talk about other movies where a villain is just a villain. You go after him and they're just supposed to be a bad guy. They don't have moments of regret, nothing like that. They just be a villain. And we didn't get that with Doc Ock. Doc Ock had this moment. He's gonna take the bomb with him, goes to the bottom, dies, whatever. And then Mary Jane and him get back together, because doesn't she leave? Yeah, she leaves homeboy at the altar, right? Yeah, and she's just a horrible person. Oh my god. I forgot about Man Wolf, or the hell his name is, Man Wolf, Jameson. Oh, I've glazed over that. J. Jonah Jameson was amazing. Just to throw that out there. That was spot on. J.K. Simmons was ridiculous. Over the top, very over the top. That is corny, but I think doing Jonah any differently in those series would have been dumb. If they were looking for the way they were doing that series, that was a perfect setup for Jonah. That was fine. That delivery is fine. If they did him nowadays, they would have probably toned it down. Like, even though now, like when they used him at Homecoming and stuff like that, he's similar, but he's not like out there. But it worked. It was fine. He was great. And I wrote, the movie arguably delivers the franchise's strong message about responsibility and why Peter continuing sacrificing it is his own happiness for others. Like, we're getting it again. And that was the whole story of the first one that we stayed on the origin so long about. And people want to go and say, 2 was so amazing, it was this, it was that. Just give me the rundown. Doc Ock was great. He was fucking fantastic. I get it. Story was kind of flawed. It wasn't really there. We dealt with we dealt with Harry being upset about Peter. Finding out that it was Peter. Horrible acting part, by the way. It was bad. And on top of that, it just all came crashing down. Like, I don't know what you could really point out to me besides Doc Ock in that movie. There's not really great things going on. And again, tell me the story. If you want to tell me you never seen it before, or I never seen it before. What's the story about? Oh, it's about this. Then Doc Ock, he does this. The main character, what is he going through? Well, in the last movie, he learned that I need to do this, and he's Spider-Man. And now he does this, and he kind of does it again. And then his best friend kind of is mad at him now, and the girl's kind of still a dick in a little bit. And it's just like, nothing grew. Nothing came from it. I don't care what people are going to say, how good it is, and that. Just explain it to me. Break it down. What was growing in it besides your affection for Otto Octavius, because he was amazing. He was amazing. But I don't think it deserves its reputation that it has. It's still a great movie because of the acting, delivering on Alfred Molina's part. I think the story was very hit and miss, but the Doctor Octopus scene saved it so well that it made it worth it. He had chemistry with Peter really well. When they acted, Toby and him were really playing off each other well. But other than that, I think acknowledging its weaknesses doesn't like lessen what it accomplished. Like, there were a lot of weaknesses, but it got the job done at the time. It made the sequel. It made us think. To this day, people will say it's one of the greatest Spider-Man movies. I don't see it. I think it's overrated. I think it's good. I think it's a really good movie. It's just there's a lot of flaws in it, but I still think it's good. And I think a lot of it, why I think it's good, because it's nostalgia. We finally got a really good Spider-Man villain. We got a good villain finally in a movie. And I think that was the biggest part, is getting a really cool villain that we liked and how he looked, the effects and the extra parts and all that kind of stuff. It just worked. But overall, I think it's overflawed, a lot of flaws, overhyped. But I don't want to be like that takes away from what it represented and what it meant. 3. I mean, they worked with it. They tried to make emotional connections. I think they were reaching. Oh my god, I'm already at an hour. I'm gonna have to cut this. Is gonna be 5 freaking videos. They were reaching for the emotion really hard. Really hard. They wanted to close this in a circle, even though there was plans for number 4, which is weird. But they wanted to loop it up. So we get that Sandman was the guy that shot Uncle Ben, and craziest way to throw it in. Now, when I say things are okay to be changed, fine. If they would have made Sandman kill him in the first one, and then they cast it and planned it the whole time, I'd been okay with that. That's cool that Sandman was his killer, because now it connects. Now you had to show that he was there with the guy that originally robbed him. It just was stupid. It's a stupid way to force it down our throat that we're going to put this in a whole circle. We're going to bring up Uncle Ben's tragedy again and bring that back into the story, where now he's angry and wants to find the Sandman, and it just falls flat. And Sandman looks great. Great actor. I was going to say Thomas something, but a great actor. The effects with Sandman were really good. I remember they used like a armless boxer to do a lot of scenes where he punches through the holes. I don't know why they needed an armless boxer, but it worked. It was cool. It worked out. It was fine. But it's just, again, what's the story of this one? Peter accepts being Spider-Man, I guess, but then the great responsibility happens again, because he finds out about his uncle's killers, really Sandman. Now he's got to go after Sandman. Then Harry is mad at Peter, but then he gets amnesia. He gets fucking amnesia? What the fuck soap opera in the 1980s are we watching? He gets amnesia and he doesn't remember things, and him and like Mary Jane are kind of getting it off sometimes together, like hitting it off. I should say getting it off. Hitting it off together. It just didn't make sense, and they ruined Harry. They had no way of redeeming him after that point. They could have tried to save him from 1 and 2. They destroyed him in number 3. Then we get Gwen Stacy. Why do we do her in the 3rd movie? No goddamn clue. We need to have another problem in the movie. I got an idea, and I think Raimi really didn't like film this movie. I think he actually quoted that he wasn't happy with this movie. I know for sure they forced him to do Venom. He did not want to do Venom, and that makes sense. And I'll get to that in a second. But putting Gwen Stacy in, we didn't need another issue going on. We're going with, you know, Mary Jane kind of handing off with Harry again. Harry's dealing with amnesia. We find out Spider-Man's uncle got killed by the Sandman, and so much is going on, and it's just like, this was the first time people really were like, too many villains could be a bad thing. And it was a bad thing. And then there's movies again, like the first Batman, they used multiple villains in it, but they kept them low key, like Scarecrow and Falcone and all that kind of stuff. Roz. and it's just the way you split it up a little bit, it worked. Even someone doesn't have to be like a super villain, but if you put them in there and it works, whatever. This was like really shoved down our throat, and it was really weird. And the whole like kissing Gwen Stacy as Spider-Man, like, and I swear to God, I said in one of the other videos, I swear he says "lay one on me." I don't know if he does or doesn't, and if he does, that makes the movie go down like -100. I swear he says "lay one on me." But him kissing her and Mary Jane's like, why did you do that? And he's like, oh, whatever. Everyone loves me. I'm Spider-Man. It's just like he has to keep learning over and over that with great power comes great responsibility. Like, you're cool with all this like attention and you like it, and then it brings you back to the ground that, wait a minute, I need to be a hero again. And it's like we're going through the same lessons in every fucking movie. We're basically going through Spider-Man's origin in every fucking movie. Like every fucking movie, we're going through Spider-Man's origin. It's like Groundhog Day. And on top of all of it, remember, I do this live. I get things hitting me up and everything, no editing. The Gwen Stacy thing just made no sense. And then we're going to make Eddie Brock come and be her partner. And now on top of that, we're going to get the guy from that 70s show to play him. Granted, I do believe they're taking from inspiration from Ultimate Spider-Man. The comic was hot. It was huge. It was probably one of the best sellers at the time. And in that, they called him Eddie Brock Jr. I don't know why they wanted to go that way in the comic, but they decided to go that way in the movie. Fine. You want to do that? Fine. And in that, he's kind of like a skinnier, twerpy looking guy. He's not a big buff dude that's in jail and gets out and hates Parker and all that. This was horribly forced. Venom was rushed. I know Raimi hated this a lot. And this is one movie I don't understand people going, oh yeah, I liked Spider-Man 3. Did you just like because you got to see Venom? Did you like it just because you saw Sandman in a green shirt with stripes and it looked accurate? I mean, what story-wise was there that was going for you? What were you getting off on that was like, this is fucking awesome? There's not really good fight scenes. There's not really good graphics. Venom was done horribly. And all the Venom we knew at the time was this. I tell you, I'm a big Venom fan. I have a video about it. All we knew was this. We knew this. This was Venom. And they went totally away from it. They didn't make him this big hulking guy. They made it fit on him like he was a normal dude. Now, did the other movies do it right, the Venom? That's a whole nother movie for me, or a whole nother video for me. But we get Venom, Gwen Stacy, more issues, more problems, all over exploding into one movie that's supposed to tie a bow on it and end it. And it's just god awful. And then we get to the end. And the thing about Peter was being an ass. I've totally glazed over this. Peter was being an ass before he even got the symbiote. Like, he was kissing Gwen Stacy before he even had it. Then when he does asshole shit, like dance with her and all that, that makes sense. Okay, he's kind of corrupted, whatever. And the emo Spider-Man, I didn't even touch on it yet. We're not going to cover it that much. It turned into a meme. Don't tell me that was something serious and that was cool. That was a cool part. It's funny. It's funny as hell. It is. But not in a Spider-Man movie. It's stupid. It's cornball. Like, don't. The Black Suit storyline, demolished. And it has like the idea. It has the ideas about ego and anger, but the execution becomes too exaggerated, and that many viewers remember the jokes more than the themes. And yes, this dude is meme to death. You could find memes of Toby making the face and the dance and just, we won't go too much into that, but it was awful. That was Venom corrupt, or him yelling, "Fix the goddamn door" to his landlord, or you're gonna got dirt in your eye, little gobby, or whatever the fuck he says. And then we get the end, big chaos scene. Venom's like, "Hey Sandman, do you want to team up?" And he's like, "Sure." I don't like Spider-Man either. Let's do it. And then Green Goblin's like, he tried to kill him at one point, and then he remembers everything, and then he tries to kill him, then he gets hurt, and then Spider-Man looks like he's outnumbered, he's gonna die, and then Harry shows up, Extreme Harry on his surfboard, and it's just all lame. And then they kill Harry. There was no emotion. Nowadays we get really good emotion from superheroes passing away or getting hurt or having moments, and with that we didn't care. And I don't care what you tell me. You were not caring about Harry Osborn dying. You didn't have a lump in your throat when he was dying. It did not feel like Yondu dying to you. I don't care. And if you hated Guardians Galaxy 2 like these guys do, fuck, I'm putting that video out today. It had no emotion. he lost his best friend, and I never thought it was his best friend the whole time. Didn't feel like it. And then we just have it with all the villains, and we had to be sympathetic to all of them. We were sympathizing with Doc Ock. After Goblin died, we started sympathizing that he just was corrupted by serum, and he didn't mean to really do that. And the whole time, Harry wants to revenge him because you know, it wasn't his fault. And then suddenly the butler becomes the ace in the fucking hole. I was there when I cleaned the, you know, it was just a dumb way to cover up a part of the story, and it just was silly. It was dumb. I'm gonna be wrapping this up because it's way too long already. Yeah, it's just we get the big fight scene. Cool, we get a big Sandman. We date it because J.K. doesn't ask for, or J. Jonah Jameson doesn't just grab some kid's camera. He grabs a throwaway camera, Polaroid. So now when you see it, I'm like, oh my god, this is so long ago. And it's so hard to remember these things when you make movies. I feel like, oh, you're going to take them out of the movie with that. And that's always a hard thing. That's why it's kind of cool when new movies use older music, because everyone listens to old music now. But if you do like a popular music at that time of that movie, it'll stick with you. And it'll be like, oh, yeah, it's from that movie or whatever. And it takes you kind of out of it. But when movies use like old music, let's say again Reservoir Dogs, using Stuck in the Middle, you know, in that famous scene, we now know that song with that famous scene, but it doesn't date that scene, even though that song was from way before it. So it doesn't lock into that area where we're going, oh, this is during that time, oh, that was a while ago. It didn't do that. But again, that's a whole side thing about the camera is stupid. That's not one of my biggest flaws. I'm just explaining that. But we had to sympathize with everybody. We felt bad for Harry, and then Topher, he's just trying to get it off him. He gets it off him, whatever. He jumps into it, the bomb, and blows up with it. I don't know. And Sandman, we feel bad for him at the end. He's sorry for killing your uncle. All the rage goes away. Peter learns that you can forgive, I guess. That's what the point of the story is. And he blows away in the dust. He just cared about his daughter the whole time. Why can't a villain be a fucking villain? Can we just get a villain? Every villain we had to feel sympathy for. Green Goblin was the closest, but it still gave you guilt because he's like, don't tell Harry. Like, he still cared about his son. We had to get sympathy. And everyone's gonna be like, oh, but in the comics they sometimes do that. No, sometimes they don't. Dr. Octopus fucking switched minds with Spider-Man and had him die, while Spider-Man's conscience was in his mind the whole time, while he used Spider-Man's body, Peter's body, to be the superior Spider-Man. Some villains are just fucked up, and they're bad guys. Kingpin is just a bad guy in the comics. Sure, he cares about Vanessa and things like that, but he wants to kill Spider-Man. He does not like Spider-Man. It's okay. It's fine. Now, if you want to develop a story where eventually through tons of comics that they become good somehow, whatever, it's got to be good character development. In this, there was no development of why we cared for him. It was already, we're supposed to be sympathizing because he was, you know, he lost his dad. We should care for Harry. Sandman's worried about his daughter. We should care about the Sandman. Venom, he's jealous of Spider-Man. I don't know. Topher, at least I can give a little bit, but he didn't feel threatening as a villain. He didn't feel threatening at all. But it all ends. We get that, and it feels like it's really incomplete. I think it ends with them dancing. Kind of reminds me of Endgame, I guess. And it really just left unsatisfying. This was our third movie. This is what's closing out the trilogy. Nowadays we know what trilogies are, but I mean, they had Star Wars to Return of the Jedi to know how a trilogy kind of goes and how to tie a knot on the end of the story. But they were going to do number 4 supposedly, so maybe that's what they're thinking, but still, it didn't work right. It didn't. Venom needed more time. Venom needed his whole movie to himself. And Sandman is an okay to have, I think, as a main character villain, but just do him right. It's hard with a lot of these guys. Vulture, Mysterio, Hobgoblin. Hobgoblin's pretty good, but a lot of these guys are really dumb. Like Hydro Man, dumb. It's really hard to make them like work, and it just fell very hard. Over time, people I think started to forgive it a little bit. Again, it's the nostalgia glasses though, I think, but just because you get with it, like I remember being so in love with the fact that Venom was gonna be in this movie, we're at WonderCon San Francisco. I probably told the story before, and it's just like we barely got to make it into the screening, and we got to catch to the end. At the end, it just shows Venom being at the screen. I could not wait for this fucking movie, and probably at the time I liked it too. Who knows? I think I probably did. But again, you get older, you watch things, movies change, movies get better, and you could be like, that's not their fault. No, it's not. But now I could say, yeah, I don't like that movie really now. It's not really one of my favorite movies. And like Spider-Man 3, no, it's a pretty god-awful movie. Where was the character arc? Where was the storytelling? Where was all this stuff? What was going on? You know? And you're gonna be like, well, no, he was trying to help Harry, and then he was really, I don't know why I'm talking like Kermit. He was into MJ and wanting to marry her, and then his uncle's killer came back, so he was worried about this. So you're just telling me Toby was busy with all kinds of shit going on. And I get it, that's Spider-Man's life, but it just didn't flow. It didn't flow right, and it just didn't do it well. And it was the least welcome Sam Raimi in my book. Of course, 2 would be on top, 1, then 3. 3 is just god awful, I think. That's when I would say it's a bad movie. A lot of times I don't say, oh, but you could say it's a bad. I usually say don't say I hate a movie, because you can't say hate, because Remy did do the best he could. Topher Grace probably thought he got the role of a lifetime. There's a lot of aspects I put in where I won't hate a movie, because I understand it takes a lot of work behind these things. But it could be a bad movie, and this was a bad movie. Spider-Man 3 was bad. There's nothing good about it. And again, this fellow on the screen, I forgot what his name is. He does cool clips. He's saying, oh, I love Spider-Man 3. I would love for him to explain to me what he loved about it. And most of the time, it's going to be, this was pretty cool with this scene, and this was pretty cool, like nostalgia shit. And that's fine. But I'm talking about what makes it a good movie. Not what makes it work for you, or what makes it feel cool for you. But explain to me what parts of the character drove you. You were, in their car. What was driving you? What was making you hang on to this story? What was making you root for Spider-Man? What was making you even root for the villain sometimes? What was making you want to get revenge for Peter? What was it you hoping that they get together and do get married? And like all these different things. It's like what was going on while you were watching this? Were you thinking, or was this what we do with Fast and the Furious? We turn off our brains and I get it. Sometimes we need a movie just to turn off our brains and just watch dumbness. I get it. I love to do that sometimes. I feel like those are Transformer movies. You just don't really worry about things. But when you're passionate about things, and a Transformer fan may be passionate and doesn't do that. I'm not that passionate about Transformers. But sometimes I understand it. Like, you turn off your brain and you just, I just want to burn out and watch this. Fine. But with me, Spider-Man is not that kind of a movie that you turn off your brain and just deal with what's in front of you. And to me, it seems like what was so good about Spider-Man 3, the things they're going to tell you are stuff when you're brain dead watching it. Oh, and this scene was kind of cool when he did this, and it was funny when he was dancing, and when he said, what's the matter, Gob, you gonna cry or whatever, and it's not good. It wasn't a good movie. It was ambitious. I'll tell you that. It tried. It just needed to take a long breath, collect itself, but 1 and 2 already fucked it up for him. With that being said, I've talked way too much already, and people already hate me now. This is us talking about Raimi. I was going to talk about Garfield's, but I guess I'm doing Garfield's in the next one. I want these all out before Brand New Day comes out. And the last one I did, God, I was up till like 3 or 4 in the morning. I didn't even realize it. No sleep that night. I say too much. I'm sorry. It just, Raimi's is a whole different idea. It was a different time. It broke down walls, 100%. A great director, stayed with a brand or a franchise and worked with it, and even tried to make fans happy when we came to Venom and stuff like that. They did what they could, and it was a whole new dynamic. The most real superhero we had back then was 89 Batman probably, but that pushed people away. The Crow, different, because that wasn't really for kids. Ninja Turtles, well done, but they didn't really follow the comic, but it's still respected really highly as a good comic book adaptation. But they didn't really go off of what to do with these characters that are kind of looked at by average people as goofy in spandex. So I think it was a really hard experiment for Raimi, and I think there is a lot of success in his movies. There is a lot of success, and he led the way and opened the door for a lot of movies to be made. So I'll always be grateful for the movies, regardless how much I think 3 is horrible and 2 is overrated. It's a good movie. It's a really good movie. Don't get mad at me. It's just the stories just fall flat, and I think we're more excited to show Spider-Man on the big screen more than telling a story. I think we were focused on telling why Spider-Man in every movie. We wanted to explain to everybody every time. Spider-Man knows with great power comes great responsibility. Every time it happened in a movie, he's gonna lose a little faith in it. Things are gonna go a little wrong, but then he's gonna remember at the end of it, he's got to be Spider-Man at the end of the day, no matter what. And I think that was the through all the movies, we never got to grow from that. We never went further from that. It's just like if we watch Iron Man 1, he says, "I am Iron Man," and that's the big thing at the end of it. And every other movie, it was him trying to build out this whole thing of like, I'm just gonna eventually reveal what I am, and I'm gonna accept it. He accepted it. Then we went to the next movie and told another story. Again, people are hit and miss with number 2, but we all could not argue that Tony Stark had a character arc at least. But yeah, so again, the movies did a lot for us. It changed the world for us in the movie comic book world, and forever thankful. And Dr. Octopus will go down, and there is a reason why a lot of these guys, I don't know if Thomas Hayden Church, because sometimes I think they just use his voice in Far From Home, because he's like all 3D. He never gets out of sand mode. So I'm like, did they just have him voice it, or did someone else voice it for him? Because all the lizard scenes are done without the actor there. They're just clips of him from the other movies, which is weird. I would think that guy's cheap. He's not done a lot of movies. But anyways, there is a reason why some of these characters are brought back, and that will be a whole another video about the movies, because there was something there. There was something there with these characters, and Dr. Octopus was the shining beacon out of all these, even more so than William Dafoe, sadly, because William Dafoe's a great actor and he was a great pick for Norman Osborn and Green Goblin. They just couldn't figure out how to do Green Goblin correct. But this trilogy showed how to make a villain right. The only bad part is we did have to sympathize with him at the end. It's kind of nice to have a villain be a villain, like I said, but overall we got a taste of what it's like to have a compelling villain and tell a story of a villain that we actually followed his arc pretty well, of him losing what he had, his goals, his wife, going through a period of just madness, and then kind of slowly bringing him back, and then learning what his long-term goal wasn't this. He never wanted to be this. So we got a little bit of a story just with Doc Ock, and he had more character growth probably than Peter in all the movies, and that sucks. People again will probably argue with me against that, but I feel like Dr. Octopus in one movie had more growth than Peter Parker did through 3 movies, and that I thank Raimi for too. We finally got to get a really cool villain in modern times, I guess you would call it, like 2000s, because before that Joker was great. Nicholson was awesome. That was Joker. Other than that, everything else kind of got loosey-goosey. Even Danny DeVito as Penguin, it was cool. I loved it, but it was a real weird take on Penguin, right? It was kind of like a circus freak. Catwoman, Michelle Pfeiffer, great. But again, it was just different. It was odd. It wasn't really, they weren't trying to build emotion and things behind them at that time. There was a little bit with Catwoman, but that's a whole nother story I don't want to get into. But with Osborn, they really did. With Octopus, they really did build it. And they tried to do it again with Sandman. It didn't work. It fell flat. We never cared if he was going to see his daughter again. No one cared. No one felt the connection. No one felt the emotion. We didn't care that Harry wanted revenge for his dad and all that. We didn't care. And Topher, no one gave a fuck about that 70s show, dude. Him getting jealous, becoming Venom, it should have been an epic moment. That scene, I don't know what my dog's doing. That scene where the bells and him ripping it off, it's such an epic thing in the movie, or in the comics. So much of the scene of Eddie finally getting it is such a iconic thing in the comics, and it was just thrown out to be it looked dumb and stupid. But that's it about Sam Raimi's movies. And again, you're gonna just disagree with me. That's fine. I'm just telling you where I saw things fell down, what happened after I got older and dissected it more and started comparing it to other movies, and not just super movies, but just other movies about character development, about growing and understanding what it is to lose someone, want someone, revenge someone, and just seeing it all put into a character. It wasn't taken as serious as you wish it would when you look at other movies that weren't even a superhero movie. So it was like they're trying to get their ground, hit the ground running, but it just felt like it stumbled a lot. And people will always argue and say, no, it's amazing, and that's fine. I'm not here to tell you it's horrible. I'm telling you, I think like 3 is horrible, and 2 is super overrated, but it's a good movie, and number 1's okay. But I'm here to just tell you my piece and defend why I think these movies are where they're at. So that's Raimi's. We'll move on, and I guess I'm gonna do Garfield's in one video by itself. So we'll see you, Spider fans. We'll see you.